Hey everybody, thanks for joining me today. We're going to be going over the TEKTON Tools socket set that have the drives, of course. We're going to be doing the quarter, the 3/8, and the half. We're also going to go over their wrench set as well. And I hope you guys can notice we made a bit of an upgrade here on the audio. So hopefully we won't have any more complaints with the echoey and the hardly being able to hear me thing. So hope you guys enjoy it. Let's get into it. So first thing you guys will notice is I do not have the hard case from TEKTON anymore that all of these kits come in. I just threw those out because I knew I wanted them in this Kaizen foam in the drawers, just super organized and easy to access. So I threw those out, got them in here, and I think it works really well, at least for me and my application of the garage. You'll notice here we have metric at the top. I always keep metric towards the back of the drawer because I just don't use metric as much as I do SAE. You'll notice these are deep well and then standard, or shallow as some people call it. Then I have deep well and standard of the SAE also. And the metric, we start out at 4mm and go all the way up to 15 with no skips. However, I do want to note that we have a 4.4 and a 5.5 in the metric, both standard and deep, of course. And then from there on, it goes in actual whole numbers all the way up to 15. Then we start out on the SAE side of things down at 5/32 and work our way all the way up to 9/16. Then we also have their accessories here. The only thing that doesn't come in the kit from TEKTON is this, which is my Milwaukee. Basically, it's just an adapter to put in my screw gun if I need to do something quickly and don't necessarily need precision. I have that in here also, but it does come with a couple extensions here, your actual hand drive if you want to, let's say snap this in a 9/16 because you want to use it as a screwdriver instead, you can do so. It also comes with their nice ratchet, of course, which I find to be very nice for a 1/4" ratchet. We'll get into what I think of these tools later, but I just want to show you guys everything that comes with all these kits first. Let's move on down to the 3/8. Okay, so you'll notice with the 3/8 drawer, it is much more full. You'll also notice there's some other things in here that aren't in the 1/4" drawer, which is to be expected. So one thing that doesn't come in the kit with the 3/8 set from TEKTON is this, and this is their pivoting wrench, or I believe that they have a different name for it, but that's what I call it. I really love this, and I decided to buy it because I've had something similar to this before, not from TEKTON, but I like it because I'll show you guys later what I do with it and one thing I don't like about it. But this doesn't come in the set originally. The rest of it does, again, other than my adapter here. But it comes with this breaker bar, which I find to be pretty nice because, I don't necessarily always need 1/2". I may be working on something that might be a little bit too heavy duty for my actual ratchet, but I'll use a breaker bar, but I don't necessarily want to step up all the way to 1/2 for something. So that's pretty nice that that's included in the 3/8 version. And then as far as sizing goes, again, we have metric on the far side of the drawer. We start out with 6 here and we work our way all the way up to 24, which is getting pretty large again for 3/8. Once you get past 24, you don't necessarily want to be reefing on something because it's probably going to be pretty tight. It does come, of course, with this 3/8 ratchet. This is their 90 tooth ratchet. So again, if you divide 360 degrees by 90, every 4 degrees, you should get a click. I will say this has saved my butt plenty of times. I mainly work on cars with these tools, so there's been plenty of times where I just needed to get in something really, really tight, and I can just barely get 1, maybe 2 clicks on something to get a bolt out. So super, super helpful that that's the 90 tooth version. Of course, you have our extensions here again, and that little swivel piece there. I call them a knuckle. I know other people call them different things, but anyways, moving on. We start down here all the way at 1/4", which is pretty small for 3/8. I mean, I've never needed a 1/4" to having 3/8, but hey, it's there if you need it. So that's really nice. and then obviously working all the way up to 1 inch here on the SAE side of things. Now, one thing I will say about cutting out this Kaizen foam is I'm really, really glad I went with TEKTON, and the fact that they have all of these sockets, no skips, straight through, 6 all the way to 24, just in 3/8 alone. I mean, I feel like I'm not going to come across something that I don't have, or at least most likely. And then in the future, if I do need a socket, I don't say, oh man, I need a really odd socket. Like let's say I need a 6mm socket. I've already got it. So, but if I had already cut out this whole drawer, it would have been a real pain to try to add something. It wouldn't look right. And that would kind of defeat the whole purpose of cutting out the Kaizen foam to begin with. So anyways, let's move on to the 1/2 inch size. Now this is the 1/2 inch set. You'll see here that I don't have all the sockets in this drawer. You can see also that I ran out of room, and I'll show you where I put the other sockets here in a second. But again, here this is not included in the set. This is an adapter I bought somewhere else that doesn't come in the set from 1/2 inch to 3/8, which I've had to use occasionally, but pretty rarely. And then again, my adapter for my screw gun there. But other than that, we start all the way down here at 10mm, which is pretty small again. You'll see here on the metric side of things, I stop at 25, and that's only because I didn't have room. The set actually goes all the way up to 32, and again, of course, no skips. It also comes with an 18-inch breaker bar, which is super nice when I'm taking off tires. Definitely use that rather than the ratchet itself, because if you're putting a lot of torque or reefing on something, you can strip out the gears in a ratchet. So again, obviously it comes with a ratchet wrench for this size drive, which is 1/2 inch of course. And then it comes with a 10-inch extension, your smaller extension there, 3 inch I believe. And then on the SAE side of things, you start all the way down at 3/8, working our way all the way up to 1 5/16", which is just getting huge. And then you of course have your standard and your deep well of both. Now to finish out this 1/2 inch set, you'll see down here in my bottom drawer, this is all the oversized stuff and the things I wouldn't use very often, such as all the way up to 32mm deep well, which is, at least for what I need it for, pretty large. And I'm not gonna use it very often, so I just put them down here in the bottom drawer. And then of course, because I can't read the actual number, I put on these labels here, which I think work pretty well. And then of course, you noticed above, I didn't have the standard length for the metric. So I put all of the metric 1/2 inch drive sockets down here because I just don't really need them that much, especially in 1/2 inch. Most of the time I use a 3/8 drive for most things, unless I get into something that's really, really high torque. Now getting into my opinion and what I think of TEKTON and all these different kits that I've obviously bought. I will say, I think the sockets are probably the best sockets you can buy for the money. Now I say probably because I haven't had every socket in my hand. However, I don't see anything to fault them for. I mean, everything is nicely engraved here. You can see this 15/16 socket here. I mean, it's fully engraved. It's never gonna brush off, or you're gonna use it so many times you can't see it. It's actually down in there. Another couple of things I really like about these though, if you can see here, the chrome stops at the edge here, which to me is pretty important because that prolongs the life on the inside of the socket. The inside is just clear coated, and then the chrome stops. And the reason that is because chrome will actually chip off after you've used it a bunch of times and put it under torque, and then you begin to have a loose fitting socket. You might need a 3/4, but your 3/4 becomes just a little bit more sloppy. Now, of course, it's not going to make you all of a sudden not be able to loosen a bolt, but it does make it more probable to round it or things of the like. So one small detail, I guess, however, something that I really like about them that some other companies don't do a very good job of. So I feel like TEKTON does. I like that. I like not having to worry about the stamping ever wearing off. I know I can have it for a long time. So that makes me feel good. I do want to show you guys one thing though that I love about the 3/8 wrench that I bought here. It's super convenient because if you take the standard wrench, let's say, and I've got my Husky jack here, which I also really like. You know, you put this socket on here, and then you put your wrench on, and let's say you loosen this, and right, you're sitting here going like this, moving back and forth. Now, that's fine. It's all fine and dandy, right? I mean, that's not that big of a deal. However, sometimes when you're in a little bit tighter areas, it is a bigger deal. And, you know, it would be nice to do things a little bit faster because maybe you don't have a whole lot of time. So with this one, what's really nice is once you break it free, you can then pivot it and then just a little bit more quickly all the way around and get the whole bolt or nut out. I just think that's really nice because it just speeds things up a little bit, at least in my opinion. And you know, another thing too is, let's say you're in a tight space, you're in a car engine bay, you know, your shock tower is right here, and you know, it's coming up here usually at somewhat of an angle, and you can't get a standard drive on it. So, you know, you can angle this, and then you can still get in there and tighten your nut or bolt. So I find it really handy. It's saved me a couple times being able to pivot it, but it's also faster. Now, there's only one thing I don't like about this wrench, and that's really probably because it's a habit of mine. It's not necessarily a fault of the wrench. You always have to press the button to release your socket. Now that's a good thing because you never have to worry about your socket falling off. However, what I don't love about it is because of the fact that it pivots, the way that I grab my wrenches, which I still haven't fully gotten used to this yet, is I grab them like this, and then I press the button. Well, I can't get the button pressed until I bend the wrench like that, then I can press the button and actually pull my socket off. So kind of a dumb thing there. So then I have to try to remember to grab it like this and press the button, and then it still bends itself. I got to bend it back. So again, not really a big deal, but just one thing I'm like, I just forget when I'm using it. So you might want to be aware of it. Now, moving on to the quality of the actual ratchets themselves. One thing that I think makes or breaks a socket set is the actual drives themselves. And of course, I think these are quite good. Now, keep in mind with each of these, what comes with the box is the corresponding wrench. This one again here is not included. I will include a link in the description for this one. I believe it's about $40. However, I do want to note on these just not only the quality, because I mean, I've had to reef on some different bolts, and when you have a 90-tooth wrench, it is a lot easier to strip out than, let's say, a 72-tooth wrench, because the fewer the teeth, the larger the surface area of each tooth, right, to get around that circle. So that means it's harder to strip out. When you get to 90 teeth here, you know, less surface area, you could strip it out. And I've had to really, really reef on some bolts here with these 3/8 wrenches, and I have yet to have any problems with them. Also, one thing that I really like, if you notice, the width here is extremely small, as well as the head. Just the way that the whole thing is made, I really think it's great for fitting in small areas, getting the job done, whatever that may be, and not having issues. I mean, I just don't really think that you could make a much smaller head for a 3/8 drive ratchet than this. I really don't. And then, of course, you know, you have the design of the handle, lets you kind of know where you are on the wrench, but also gives you more grip. You know, I really don't have any complaints on these TEKTON tools so far. Of course, I haven't had them for a decade yet. However, for what I have used them for, I feel like they are an incredible deal. I mean, I don't really think that you're going to beat this ratchet for $40 with all the perks that it has and the quality that's there. So let's move on though from the ratcheting drives and the sockets to the actual wrenches themselves here. And so I've set a couple out here. You can see, of course, they're like everything else. They're nice, plated in chrome. They are a pretty standard wrench, of course. However, I do want to show you guys up close here the inside and how the inside, again, is clear coated, not chrome. That is very important. If there is chrome in there, again, you're going to have a looser fit. This is, of course, their 12-point wrench set, so it is going to be able to go on a nut or a bolt a little bit easier than a 6-point set, but again, maybe a little bit less torque, higher probability of rounding out an old rusty bolt or nut. So I just wanted to show you this because I think it's nice that they are properly coated. And then again, if you notice here, there's a slight bevel right on the side of this. And what that helps with is actually getting on the bolt head. So again, just little small things like that. The little bevel there that helps you get it on there. And then again, there is here also, this is on an angle, so helps you maybe not scrape your knuckles on different things. Just again, it just seems like they've thought of pretty much everything in making these wrenches, and for still, again, a good price. So if you guys want these wrenches, any of this is linked down below. Well guys, there you have it. There's some pretty good tools for the money. I'd highly recommend them to anybody. Again, like I said, I haven't had any problems with them, so I'd definitely buy them again. We are going to be doing some more tool reviews on TEKTON as far as their screwdrivers go, their nut drivers, and their pliers. So stay tuned for that. Also, we're going to be going over how to polish a car starting from scratch, the basics, what you need, what you don't need, what you may want. And then also we're going to be doing eventually a ceramic coat. So if you guys want to see all that, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. It really helps me out. And again, if you guys want any of this stuff, it is in the description down below. So anyways, that's it for me today. I will catch you guys next time. Thanks for joining us and have a great week.